welcome to another week of Libertarians at Large. My name is Eric Rotsep, and this is where we discuss the week in news and express a libertarian point of view on the goings-on in our nation and the world. We welcome your comments and questions in the chat box, so comment frequently. We may share your comments live on the air. This week, I'm joined with my fellow Libertarian at Large member, Valerie Sarwark. How are you doing, Valerie?
Good. Hi, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. And this week, we have a very special guest, Cassaundra Fryman from Plymouth, Ohio. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Doing really well.
Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, absolutely. One of our shining stars that are elected libertarians around the country. That is absolutely awesome, and we thank you for your service. So, what's going on in Plymouth? What are some of the big achievements that you've had so far in office?
Well, definitely the big things that are happening right now involve grant approvals. We have really aggressively gone after grants for infrastructure and community development that were previously unlooked for. We've been very successful. Just this week, we got approved for a $500,000 storm sewer grant that's going to also repave the road on top of it. We've had drainage issues, flooding, trouble getting our first responders to calls during torrential rainpour. So this is going to really alleviate a lot of that for our constituents. And the great part is we've combined it with funds from our community, and we won't go into debt with this project, and it's all going to be paid for completely, debt-free, walking away from it cash money. So we're super excited about that. The other grant that we got approved for was for a splash pad with our pool, which I talk a lot about our pool, but it's been privately funded for several years now, which is huge for a community. The Plymouth Improvement Committee has raised funds to repair it and maintain it for the last few years. But now it's going to coincide with a grant that we got to put in a splash pad to make it more accessible to bigger families with little kids. So we're really excited about that as well.
That's awesome. Eric and I were talking before the show about your huge controversy that you had right when you became mayor. Would you like to talk about that?
Are you talking about the decriminalization of marijuana?
With the parking tickets? We can do both.
Oh, sure. Sorry, you just there's so many. But so Ohio is unique. There's only 2 states that do mayor's court in the United States, and Ohio is one of them. My community has it. So basically, I preside over municipal violations. So it's not like I'm looking at felonies or anything severe, basically just ordinance violations within the community I preside over. And it's a very limited scope on that as well. So I'm kind of known for throwing out the occasional speeding ticket or ticket that maybe hasn't impacted anyone else in a particular way, or if the charge causes more hardship to the person paying the fine, I've been known to throw those out too. So it's just a matter of leveraging my ability to help people in my community with things in a way that, is unique. It's a unique perspective. Not too many mayors throw tickets out. So I do enjoy doing that when I can.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, let's
so
talk
what about
that.
this marijuana decriminalization that you were talking about?
So I also, one of the first things I did when I came into office was work with my council to decriminalize marijuana. So what that looks like in Ohio is basically just demonetizing the fine that my police would issue for possession. So it de-incentivizes them to participate in that law. So basically people who are caught with it in Plymouth don't typically get a ticket. So it's just another way to give people bodily autonomy and let them, medicinally treat issues if they wish to, or use it recreationally, whatever you want to do. But my ultimate goal is to make it a non-issue in our community. So one big step towards that.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Yeah. Morgan, I think, says it best. Hashtag no victim, no crime. So exactly. Definitely hits the nail on the head right there. So what other projects do you have going on? I know you were talking about the Plymouth improvement.
Yes. So what got me into politics was basically my involvement with the nonprofit, the Plymouth Improvement Committee, which I'm still a very active member. And I can't say enough good things about what we've managed to do with the community. Yep, that's a great picture of it. We just commissioned this mural on an older building on the square, and it highlights a lot of things that are unique to our community, different products and things that we've made. There's like a mud volleyball tournament picture on there, all kinds of fun things that are traditional to our organization in our town. But we do scholarships for graduates every year. We've improved our softball and t-ball fields. We've repaired our pool. We've funded the operations of our pool. We also do a really big event every year. It's the Christmas in the Village. It's a huge craft show with lots of events for families to participate in, and we don't charge anybody to participate in the events. So there's horse-drawn carriage rides, live reindeer, ice skating, all axe throwing, all kinds of stuff, and everything is free to everyone who attends. So it doesn't keep anyone out from attending it. A lot of events like that, you have to pay to even get in the door. With this, it's an open air market right in the middle of town, and anyone can come and participate in it for free. And all of that is paid through donations and fundraising that we do year round. So it's something that I'm really proud of.
That's awesome. So there's no governmental cost to that either. Correct.
It is a monument to what private citizens can do when they work together towards a common goal. And I love that it brings so much unity and purpose to our community, and pride too, because we've done amazing things with it. We redid our Veterans Park last year, and we did all of it privately funded. We had a mural commissioned on the wall of that building as well. So there's like a beautiful flag mural painted right next to it. It's just, I thought, 5 years ago when I got involved in it, that we would be able to do the scope of projects that we do every year now. You set a goal and we know we're going to hit it. And it's just really incredible.
I think that really showcases that when a community comes together and works together, amazing things can happen. And there's no force of taxation. There's no government beating down on people's heads saying, this is what we're going to do. The community comes together and says, this is what makes our community better, and these are the things we want to do. Get out of our way, and we're going to make our community better. And that is amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place. I mean, you're a mother. Are you seeing that more families are moving to Plymouth because of all these? I mean, the splash pad alone, I'm like, wow, that's great. But all these activities for kids and stuff, are you seeing an increase in families or younger people moving into Plymouth?
We actually, in the last census, had a decrease of about 100 people. But I think that kind of the normal in this area. But I will say that I've seen a lot more engagement. I've seen a lot more families out participating in these events. We have more volunteers for our next event than we've ever had in the 5 years that I've been on the committee. So we are attracting people who want to participate in a community, and I think it's a great stepping stone for us to go in that direction.
Yeah, and you're turning it into like a little tiny libertarian land with.
Well, and that's another thing. Also, when you have an engaged community, you also have businesses that are more interested in opening up in your area, because it's easier to reach their potential customers.
You're absolutely right. We have really pushed ribbon cutting ceremonies, and the county economic development chambers have been really great in helping assist with that. But we've had 4 ribbon cuttings in the last year for small businesses. And I couldn't be more thrilled about it, because the people opening these businesses are young entrepreneurs, some starting families and some almost there. And I just want to see them grow and flourish in our community and lay down their roots here, because I think there's a lot of potential in my community that people are starting to see, and I couldn't be more happy about that.
That's awesome.
And opening a business within the last year is pretty monumental itself. Like, it's been a hell of a year.
Yeah, the fact that you're having business growth in the economic dilemma that we've been facing the last year, I think that's a testament to a strong community can pull itself together and achieve pretty much anything.
You're absolutely right.
What are your term limits? It sounds like you might be stuck with this job for a while.
We will see. I've got 2 more years of this term, and we'll see where the cards lay after that.
Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome. So what are some of the dream pie in the sky projects that you have in the mind that may come out in the future for Plymouth, Ohio? Can you give us a sneak peek?
Well, definitely one of the biggest issues coming into office is infrastructure. We have a lot of, of course, road issues, water system issues, just a lot of things that have been neglected for a long time due to lack of funds or lack of concern. And we really have to play catch up now. The storm drain infrastructure is a huge one, and I'm a testament to that. My basement floods every time I get a torrential rain. So I know that everyone on my street has the same issue. It's an old network system where the storm drains back up into a lot of the basements. So my big pie in the sky dream would be to completely redo our storm drain infrastructure. And this week was a huge win for that. Getting that grant and making sure that, we have a way to pay for it without adding costs to our constituents or going in debt. I would love to get some more streets done. But the grant process last year was essentially put on hold because of COVID. So I've already lost a year of progress during my term simply because the government was on standstill. So the next goal is working with my counties, trying to find more grant money and infrastructure money and trying to maintain what we have as well as improve it so that it lasts longer going forward.
And you also mentioned like road condition and potholes and stuff like that. So I'm sure you're reaching out to corporations like Domino's Pizza, because I know they have trucks that roll around. But I also know like Amazon with their delivery fleet, they have a grant procedure where, if you're going to be repairing the roads, they're going to chip in money and stuff like that. So I think that's really an interesting idea. And those, I'm sure, are avenues that you've already pursued as well.
There's something that I'm definitely open to. Plymouth does not have a lot of corporation. Everything in Plymouth is small business, privately owned. We just don't have the size of a community to support one of those businesses. But we do have a factory coming to town in the next year. It's a smaller one. It employs about 12 to 15 people, but we're really excited about it coming here. But part of that draw is that we are so open to business, and I'm building a reputation for an inviting community to bring those kinds of things here. So even after I'm gone, I want that legacy to last. I want our reputation to be one of innovation and free enterprise and the ability to conduct your business here successfully.
Yeah, and actually, Morgan Dow kind of mirrored my sentiments there. How will roads be built without the government? Well, with corporate sponsorship by companies who are utilizing those roads, like delivery services for pizza or for goods, or a whole host of other amazing avenues that roads have always been built long before governments ever even started getting involved in that. So it's amazing. I mean, and we're just going back to the old ways. That's the they worked for generations, since the founding of this country.
And ideally, government should be brought down more to a local level, to a more centralized level. If we didn't have all of our constituents' funds going to the federal and state bloated governments, and we're allowed to keep more of our own money, we could do these things on our own so much more efficiently. Because at this point, they have us tied by the purse strings. So we have to comply with every measure that they enact. So we aren't free to rule as a community like we should be able to. And if we had more of our own money staying in-house, we could do these infrastructure things. Our community wants nice roads. Our community wants nice infrastructure. Those are the things that you want when you live in a close-knit community. That's part of the expectation, is you live close together, you have a smaller yard because you have neighbors, and you help each other because you want services that come with that community. So enabling us to do those things and empowering communities is, I think, the step we need to take.
Yep.
So it's not just about, oh, my roads, government. The fact of the matter is, government isn't doing the job that they're supposed to be doing right now. They take all of our taxes and hold all of our funds. They never go back into the community. They're used to bloat their special interests. And that's where the big problem is. And I think people lose sight of that. It's easy to get mad at your local government saying they don't do anything for me. When the fact of the matter is, we're fighting tooth and nail for every dollar and penny that we get from the state and from the federal level, because we're trying to bring our money back to our community. And that's where the real battle is.
Well, and I just happen to know the education numbers off the top of my head. But for every dollar that goes to public schools at the local level, the local school boards have to pay 97 cents to $1.11 for every dollar that the federal government gives them. So it's either a 3-cent gain or an 11-cent loss, depending on which program it is. And yet all of these government agencies and these government organizations are so used to chasing after this money that they don't even think about the administrative costs from the various levels, from all the way at the federal level, all the way down to the local level, that it really doesn't create any benefit to the student in the case of education. And I'm assuming that Department of Transportation and all the other alphabet soup of Washington and our state legislators are it causes the same problems for you as a local mayor.
Absolutely. It's all bureaucratic red tape. You have to jump through the hoop to get, any kind of change. And it's just wild. That's been a very real learning curve that I've experienced as taking office, is how many hoops you have to jump through to do things the way you want to do them in your community, if you even can. Because if you do something that they don't like, they hold your funds hostage. A good example of that is Ohio Department of Transportation. Speaking of, we wanted to change a speed limit that they had designated 45 through town. It goes to 45 right in front of the entrance to our park, which is right across the street from an ice cream parlor. That is where they were jumping us from 35 to 45 miles an hour based on their designation of house density. And we didn't want it to be 45 miles an hour there. That just kind of seems like a bad idea. So we wanted it to be 35, just extended another 500 feet so that it would be safer for kids to cross there. Well, they threatened to hold our SALT fund. They threatened to hold our street maintenance fund if we didn't change it back to 45. So we had to go through this whole appeals process to demonstrate why we felt the speed limit should be changed for another few feet to ensure the safety of the kids going there. And it's just wild. Like these measures that we have to take to basically run our community how we want to, how our constituents want us to. And it's just insane. So that's just one example of my dealings with the state.
Right. They don't live there. They're not in your community. And there was a couple people in the comments that are saying things like, oh, I can't believe you're taking this grant money. But as you already expressed, your community has already paid into this. And if they had that money, they would be putting it right in there. So I mean, these people are obviously not elected officials dealing with that on their own time and understanding how that works. Like, yeah, obviously we don't want to use government money, but your community has already spent that money and it's available to you to get back. Why would you not take it back? Right?
Right. Grants are more of a refund than, you're not just taking money, you're trying to bring your money back into the community. Yeah. We don't see that money once it leaves our hands to the state and federal level. You know, we're a population of 1,700 people, many of which are fully employed, working one, often two jobs to try and make ends meet. We're a low to moderate income community. So, they see that money go and it never comes back. We don't get a lot of the grants like the bigger cities do. So yeah, this is a huge grant, but it's the biggest grant we've gotten in decades. I mean, it's a huge deal. So I'm going to take that as a win, because it's just the way I look at it is it's a refund of my tax money back to us. And so that's just kind of how I have to interpret it.
Yes. And the infrastructure, especially the sewer stuff, is just so, like, there are towns and cities across the nation that are completely abandoned because their sewers failed. Once you get there, it's over. I mean, it's bazillions of dollars to fix that. So good for you for getting ahead of that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Or a little bit behind it.
I mean, my basement's a testament to it, but It's not even, to be fair, it's not even my side of the town that we're fixing. So I still have to have a flooded basement, but I'm really happy people down on that side that are getting theirs fixed.
Yeah, there you go. At least that much. Hey, there's some improvement.
Yep.
Good stuff. Absolutely great stuff.
Outside of Plymouth, how long have you been involved in the party, and what particular thing made you become a libertarian?
So the first time I started thinking I was libertarian was when Bush won his second election. After 9/11, the Patriot Act had been passed, and I really started to get concerned about the level of government invasion. You see the TSA being born, you see all of these new organizations and security measures, and the threat levels. We were always at orange, we were always a hair away from the next crisis, and that just never ended. And I kind of got really concerned with the cultural changes in our society at that point. You didn't really feel free anymore. Then I watched this guy during the Republican debates named Ron Paul, who was speaking a lot of truth, and he was the only person on that stage that made any sense during that debate. And I was just like, who is this guy, and why do I love him? So that kind of started that spiral down that process. And one of my husband's coworkers was already a libertarian, so he started talking about this party. So we both got into that, and my husband has actually voted libertarian since his first election. And so he was in it way before I even was. But 2016 was my first time I got really involved. I became county chair during Gary Johnson's campaign because I wanted to volunteer. I wanted to help this guy get on the stage. I liked how he was, and he was the only candidate that spoke to me at any level. So that was where I got involved, and I haven't looked back since. I love the Libertarian Party of Ohio. I love the National Party. I love the people that I've met in the party. One of the county members came down to our car show for the Plymouth Improvement Committee and brought his car. He drove almost an hour. Oh, wow. And just brought it down to support me. And I mean, I love these people. They're like my second family. And I'm so glad that I'm involved in the party, even the ones I don't always agree with. And that's the other thing about a libertarian meeting is you're going to have the most intelligent conversations at the dinner table than you will have in weeks hanging out with your regular friends. Like it's so nice around people who think about the bigger picture. And I love our get-togethers, and frankly, I don't think we meet often enough, but they are our second family, and we couldn't be happier about it.
Awesome.
So actually, that makes me think of an interesting question. The mayor's office in Plymouth, Ohio, is that a partisan or a nonpartisan race?
It is a nonpartisan position, but everyone in town will ask you what party you are in.
So it's like a lot of small towns.
A lot of people confuse me with liberal. They hear libertarian, so they assume I'm a liberal, which is funny because I'm probably more conservative than them on some issues. And I do like to have that conversation with them. I always welcome it. I'm always up for the challenge. And if you just listen to people, they really end up having an open mind. Although I do think based on my party affiliation, some of them would not consider me for a second term. But I'm hoping that I can demonstrate the changes that we bring and the influence that we have on different ideas as a lasting legacy to kind of change that. So one heart at a time, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you're on your way, I think.
Oh yeah, and the message is actually resonating because you look at the win percentage so far this year, and I'm sure that's going to continue out. We're right at the 50% mark. So if you think that the Republicans and the Democrats this year are taking home 50%, and then the Libertarian Party itself is taking home 50%. So the Libertarian Party, especially on local and small races, is just walking away with it. And I think the American public is finally paying attention to the message and realizing that this is a new way of thinking. It's a better way of thinking, and I'm so glad, Cassaundra, that you're part of this wave. So
Thanks. I'm excited too. And, I just would love to see more libertarians getting into local office. I think it's where we make the most difference. We have the most power to enact change within our communities and help our neighbors. And, if someone's thinking about it, I strongly encourage it, because if you care enough about your community to put yourself out there, you're already better than 50% of the politicians that are already sitting in that office. So if you think you can't do it, all you have to do is give a damn, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's one of the most wonderful things about politics, and especially in this country, is that it's not so much the law degrees. It's not anything like that. It's just a desire and a will to be part of your community and make that community better. And there's so many tools and resources out there for individuals, and to do it the right way, and not just to pander to special interest groups and stuff. So,
yeah. And Ohio's had a hell of a couple years. Like, you guys are on fire with getting people elected, growing so many new affiliates.
It's really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have Pennsylvania right next to you, right? I'm bad at geography. That's how it goes, right? And Pennsylvania's been kind of stoking the fire a little bit. And so I like that there's a little bit of friendly competition there, but it's been really cool watching. And your political director, he was at our fundraiser in Kentucky, and just, wow, so many great things coming out of Ohio. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a part of this. It's just so great. And anytime we get an elected libertarian, it's wonderful. But this is a big deal, even if it's a small town. Like, you're doing so many libertarian things, not just like whatever. So good
absolutely.
job.
Thanks.
So it's 1 minute early here, but I think it's that time of night. Do you know what time of night it is, Valerie?
I know what time it is.
Cassaundra, do you know what time it is?
I have a feeling.
Yes. It's time for the Washington. Oh, no.
It's time for the
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's because my share screen went away. Okay. There we go. Technical glitch there. It's time for the Washington Weekly News Quiz, provided by PBS.
That is publicly funded.
Yes, publicly funded. Actually, 70% publicly funded.
We talked about this.
So it's a lot better than not. So yeah.
Yeah.
On Monday, the California governor signed the Momnibus bill into law. What does it tackle? Racial disparities in the access for COVID-19 vaccines, racial disparities in maternal and infant health, or racial disparities in access to mental health?
Well, since it says mom, man.
Yeah, they didn't exactly make that a very difficult one, did they? Government being honest about what it's supposed to do. Now, what other things got hidden in it, we don't know yet. I haven't read this one. So.
Right. There's something about everybody has to adopt a cat or something in there now too.
Don't give them ideas, Valerie. Don't give them ideas. But according to ABC News on Monday, the Momnibus Bill Act was signed into law by California Governor Gavin Newsom. The law will create a fund to grow and diversify midwifery workforce, extending California's Medicaid coverage for I'm not exactly happy that this is an expansion of Medicaid coverage.
No, it sucks. Yeah, I agree. I don't want to say this in a way. Midwifery care is there's a huge racial disparity in midwifery care. Oh, yeah. And it's not because the government isn't involved. It's because that the education of
I'm
of
sorry
people.
Laura couldn't be here tonight because she's a little under the weather, but this is exactly up her alley, because this is a large part of it actually has to do with occupational licensing.
And education, because sometimes people who are in cities that are minority races don't know that midwifery care is available, and but we don't need the government to tell people that they can use a midwife.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even know how that is something that I wish I knew how to solve. There's a good group in Nebraska, speaking of Laura, because they do provide midwives. No, in Nebraska, they just started allowing midwives to practice. And when I lived in Colorado, people would drive down from Nebraska to the birth center that I gave birth at in Denver from Nebraska to give birth. Yeah, they would come and stay at a hotel, just because they couldn't get there. But, and that's an economic disparity. But how do we fix that? How do we address that? How do we tell communities that have lower incomes or whatever that this care is available? But yeah, it's not Medicare. That's for sure. That's just going to ruin everything.
Does Plymouth have midwifery?
Well, actually, I had a midwife with both of my kids, but we don't have a hospital here. I had to travel about a half hour to see my doctor, but I highly recommend the midwife experience. It's more personal. I feel like you just get better, more empathetic care with a midwife.
Yeah.
And studies show that the outcomes of deliveries that have a midwife assisting are exponentially better in regard to, C-section versus natural birth, even VBACs and things like that. Midwifery just tends to be better care.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know enough about that issue to speak on, what needs to be done to help people get access to it, other than making it easier to have access to midwives and making it easier for people to become midwives. But yeah, I'm a huge advocate of the whole thing.
Yeah, same. And I'm always like, if I could do it, I'm like, I literally have no pain tolerance. If I could do it, you can do it, people.
Okay, on that note, next question. Which documents expose an offshore system that government leaders, billionaires, and criminals use to hide their assets? Government leaders say it ain't so. The Palm Island Papers, the Pandora Papers, or the Pancora Papers?
Well, if it's offshore, it would be an island. I'm guessing Palm Island, but I don't know.
I think it's the
Pandora.
I thought it was Panama Papers.
Oh, he gave us a clue. What was it?
Think of the box you cannot close.
Oh, the Pandora Papers?
Yeah.
I have not heard of this.
Yeah, actually, this is really interesting. And there's actually quite a few U.S. politicians that are also implicated in this. But there are politicians from 17 countries, billionaire. There's 117 countries involved. There are currently over 600 journalists investigating this.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a total of 11. Wow, I didn't realize it was that high already. 11.9 million documents. That's huge. I didn't realize it was that big. But yeah, this includes U.S. politicians, British politicians, German politicians, billionaires, everybody's involved. There's nobody's hands that are clean.
Oh my gosh.
And actually, some of the newest things coming out now are all of the COVID funds that were meant to go towards relief for the pandemic went into politicians' pockets and were washed through this entire offshore system.
Oh my God.
And has resulted in individuals, politicians from Italy, and unfortunately, my ethnic homeland of Estonia, really kind of being put through the ringer, and people lost their jobs. But good for them, because they deserve to lose their jobs if they're stealing money, even if it was illegally obtained through taxation. But hey, whatever. we'll talk about that later. But
So nuts.
yeah, no, I mean, this is really going to be a game changer, and I really applaud the 600 journalists that are working on this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody said it was big news on Twitter, but I don't go on Twitter because it's gross. So
well, and it's amazing, you know. I mean, I think this also kind of goes to show what mainstream media will ignore because it's egg on their supporters or their donors' faces. So, I mean, there's even some speculation. I haven't seen anything, but there are some journalists in this pool that are saying that they have direct ties with Clinton and Haiti and washing money. We'll see if that pans out. But if I go disappear, you know, hey, we all know Hillary got me. So I did not commit suicide. I'm just going to say that right now. This week, what led to some Southern California beaches to close down? Oil spill, COVID-19, or smog?
I saw your teaser for this show, so I'm guessing it's oil spill.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I didn't know anything about that one.
Me either.
Yeah,
I was just like,
there's
what
a
oil spill?
pipeline. Yep. According to CNN, a leak in an oil pipeline off the coast of Southern California has caused more than 100,000 gallons of oil to spew into the Pacific Ocean. The spill coated local wildlife habitats and shut down a swath of popular beaches. So, interesting story, and I don't know how accurate it is, but there was a oil executive that said that they never wanted to build an oil line, an oil pipeline in the water. They actually wanted to build it on land, but they couldn't get the approval from the California government, so they had to build it just off the coast because it would be harder to monitor, and if there was a leak, it would take them longer to detect. California government said, nope, you're going to build a pipeline, you're going to build it in the water. Lo and behold, now this is something like 25, 30 years later, there's a leak, and the California government goes, why did the oil companies build an oil line in the water? And yeah, so there's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of going back and forth of who actually wanted it out there and who didn't. And there's a lot of interesting name calling that's going on with this.
Oh my gosh. California.
I know. Surprise. I mean, they cannot catch a break, can they? I mean wildfires, oil leaks, they have earthquakes. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But hey, it's California. Hey, you know, I mean, everyone's leaving because of high taxes and stipulations that don't allow people to engage in work that they want to engage in. So, hey, maybe no one live there anymore. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people aren't leaving, but
yeah, well, same here. Which organization said that its unvaccinated workers could face termination? The Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, the Democratic National Committee, or the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee?
I don't know. It's all the same.
I'm surprised that it was just one, to be honest.
Well, the one that's actually credited with it, if we're the LNC, they would be the
DNC.
And the DNC is the Democratic National Committee.
Well, a good thing we're not workers.
Yep.
We're just volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the DNC, the head of the head of the Democratic Party. Their version of Whitney basically said that if you're not vaccinated, you don't have a right to work. And also, if you remember back during the Obama administration, healthcare was a human right and should never be denied to anyone. Well, the DNC has now come out and said that only the vaccinated should have medical care if it's COVID related. So they're even backpedaling that now.
Who is even the head of the DNC now? Do you know?
I forget.
The last person I remember is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right?
Yeah, no, she's.
And that was like 10 years ago.
It's Jamie Harrison now.
No clue who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sounds pretty progressive.
Yeah, she's not. I mean, she's not like a. Well, I mean, he is not a. He's not a blue dog Democrat in any way, shape, or form. But he calls himself progressive, but anything but. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they can do what they want, I suppose.
Yeah. Make it up as they go. That's just what they often do. Which state is facing school bus driver shortages? Texas, Massachusetts, and Virginia. This one I don't know.
I was going to say all of them.
Everybody.
Yeah, right? Like
we have a shortage.
Same.
Yeah, I thought everyone had a shortage of school bus drivers right now. Because here in North Carolina, they talk about hiring fairs for school bus drivers on every single news broadcast possible, trying to get people to come in. So,
yeah, our kids rode the bus last year, and that was last year. They went through like 17 different bus drivers.
Yeah.
It's like it's a shitty job, and it's not a lot of money, and you have to listen to kids screaming like for hours a day.
Yeah, yeah. So Texas, Massachusetts, or Virginia? I guess who's worst? I don't know.
Probably. I don't know. Texas is bigger, so that's my guess.
Texas.
They need more bus drivers.
Cassaundra, any ideas?
I'm just going to throw a dart on the board and say Massachusetts to be different.
You know what? You're the guest. I'm going to side with you. And
oh, good job, guys.
Oh, look at you! I'm glad
I'm usually wrong, so that's a good guess.
Yeah. According to the Washington Post, Massachusetts has deployed more than 200 members of the National Guard.
Oh, Jesus
to
Christ.
help 9 communities get their kids to school. Okay, I have not heard this.
I don't understand what the National Guard is doing. They are like firing nurses that are not vaccinated and then putting National Guardsmen in. Bus drivers, they're putting National Guardsmen driving buses. Like what?
No. This is not what
the National Guard is like.
This is not what the National Guard is for.
These high school recruiters are definitely misleading their signing up. Because I'm telling you what, these people did not sign up to be bus drivers and nurses in the National Guard.
No.
Morgan actually says that this is happening in New York as well.
This is crazy.
That's scary. I'm sorry. I do not want the National Guard.
Get on and shut up.
Right? Exactly. What is he going to have? Like his sidearm? You know, he's going to have his pistol in there and go like, come on, really? No, this is the recipe for disaster.
Oh,
I'm sorry. This is not what we need.
Like major pain,
right?
You know,
there's like a natural disaster, and like we need help, and the National Guard is called in. Okay, cool. Hey, we need some bus drivers. Call the National Guard. That's so weird.
This is ridiculous. No, this is not what the National Guard is for.
Good Lord. This is why they're recruiting women into the selective service. They need more people to do these odd jobs.
You know.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Throw sandbags, give vaccinations, drive school buses, be all you can.
This is an idea. Maybe Uber and Lyft need to branch out into school buses.
There we go.
I think that's a great idea. Uber and Lyft school buses.
This is the most baffling thing I've heard today.
That's The World Health Organization recommends a vaccine for which disease? COVID-19, yellow fever, or malaria?
This is new. It's a yellow fever. Is it, or is malaria? It's one of those. I went to an area that had malaria and had to take 6 weeks of pills. So I don't think it's malaria because I had to take pills.
That's a treatment.
It was a prophylactic. Is that what you call it? The fancy word?
No, that's the 6 pills.
Yeah.
That's usually considered a treatment. You had malaria?
No. I was in an area that had malaria. So I had to take these pills to not get malaria.
Got you.
It's one of the two.
I'm thinking it's malaria because I think this is a single shot. I remember them like the World Health Organization announcing this, jumping up and down that it's like 35% effective.
I mean, that's not very good, but it's better than taking weeks
malaria.
of pills. Yeah, and malaria. Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm like 90% sure it's malaria on this one.
Even if
I
you
remember hearing this on the news. Cassandra, any feeling?
I'm going to go with malaria. I didn't know there was a vaccine for it, so.
Well, it's brand new.
Okay, well that's great because malaria kills a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's malaria. According to the Washington Post, the World Health Organization said it's recommending the use of the malaria vaccine among children in places with moderate to high malaria transmission. The guidance is based on an ongoing pilot program of the vaccine in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi, and has included more than 800,000 children since 2019. I mean, if this is a solution to malaria in the world, hundreds of thousands of individuals die from malaria every single year. It makes COVID look like the common cold.
And they don't get to take pills every week.
And yeah, exactly. And that is going to be amazing and really change a lot of human lives around this world. So this is great news. This is really, really great news. On Tuesday, who testified in Congress about Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg. What?
Francis.
Yeah,
Francis.
Yeah.
Did not know that guy's name.
So what pisses me off about this, what burns my bubble about this, is that there are so many members of Congress that are hailing this guy as an absolute hero. And we have whistleblowers who blow whistles for the government, like Snowden, who have to live in exile because they did the exact same thing. But because this person is doing it against a corporation, they're nigh untouchable and a hero. And if they do it against the government, they have to be ostracized and forced to live in other countries and under virtual house arrest. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm sorry. That's just, there has to be parity. I think no matter who you are, if you're a whistleblower, you're doing the right thing because obviously laws are being broken.
Yeah. I mean, Snowden, come on. This is insane. Yeah, no, the congressman, I couldn't remember the guy's name, but the congressmen are like, just so, I mean, they're all like Facebook bad, government good. So whatever, just.
Well, there was, God, what? I have to look it up now. There was one congressman who was actually talking about potentially taking Facebook and making a government run.
Ugh.
Gross.
Yeah.
I know. It turned my stomach. I mean,
imagine Facebook
is bad enough already.
Your government assigned Facebook.
Right.
I don't know.
I can't find it right now.
remember.
Alex Mooney. Sorry, Alex Mooney.
If this is what happens, that they're like, oh, thanks, whistleblower, now we're going to take over.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, everybody has to check in every day on Facebook.
Yeah. I know, right? Has anyone else read 1984?
Yeah.
You have to look at the television every single day.
Oh, God, it's going to be that.
That's exactly where this is going. It's
thanks, whistleblower.
Right. Next question. Where did President Biden travel to rally support for his economic plans? I thought he went to a couple of states. Michigan, Iowa, Florida. I thought Michigan and Iowa were on his tour this last week.
Iowa rings a bell.
Darby saying Michigan.
I'm going to go with Darby because she gets all her news from Twitter. And even though I made fun of Twitter, she said it's because it's unfiltered. So I believe she probably knows.
So we're going Michigan or Iowa?
Don't let me down. Do it.
All right. Well, Darby and Valerie are saying Michigan, so I'm going to go Michigan.
Yes, thank you, Darby. She said I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. Keith, you're absolutely right. I think all of us knew that it was not Florida. According to CNN, on Tuesday, President Joe Biden traveled to Michigan to rally support for his twin economic packages. Packages remain stalled on Capitol Hill because of sharp divisions within Democrats who can't reach an agreement on the size and scope of the plans.
But why
has there
Michigan?
ever been a dollar that Democrats aren't excited to spend? I mean...
But why did he pick Michigan? Like, it doesn't explain why Michigan, does it?
Have you ever driven on their roads?
Well, actually, he's probably going to the constituencies of House representatives who are on the fence.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he probably felt like there was a couple of Congress people from Michigan that he could sway if he could get their constituencies on board.
Okay. It's so weird how they pick those states. Like,
there are people who make way more money than any of us that determine where the president goes.
Yeah.
Which company asked the FDA to authorize its COVID-19 booster shots? Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson? Remember, this is this week and not overall.
Moderna?
This week.
I don't know.
I don't know. They're all the same.
Yeah. This week it was Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, they had a... Oh, okay.
Last week was Moderna, and 2 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago, was Pfizer.
Oh.
But according to the Wall Street Journal, Johnson & Johnson has asked U.S. health regulators to authorize booster doses for its COVID-19 vaccine. They cited studies showing that it improved protection among adults who previously received a single shot. So, and actually, there's some evidence that with a booster if you had Johnson & Johnson originally and you got the Johnson & Johnson booster, the booster for Johnson & Johnson will actually make it higher than either the Pfizer or the Moderna with 97% effectivity and almost a year of over 90% coverage. So
wow, look at you, lucky you.
I know. I got the Johnson & Johnson, so yeah.
Well, my grandma got her booster shot like last Friday. She's 900 years old.
My parents are making the appointment to get the booster shot sometime soon.
She also has diabetes and some brain issues. She can't see and she can't hear. So yeah, she's covered. She's cool.
There you go.
And yes, anybody wondering, yes, my grandmother is still alive. I'm well aware how old she is.
Which celebrities' fans got caught up in the Virginia gubernatorial election?
Celebrity fans.
Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, or Britney Spears? I have no idea.
I don't know.
I probably think it's not Britney Spears because she's just finishing up a legal battle. So I have no idea, though.
Didn't know. Olivia Rodrigo was that one that went to the White House and was like, hey, look at me, I'm vaccinated.
So that would make sense if she got caught
Everybody's
up in
Taylor Swift.
Well, William and Darby both say Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So we're going Taylor Swift?
I have no friggin' idea. And why?
I actively avoid entertainment celebrities like
I know.
plague. So
I know you do. I don't like Taylor Swift, but she's fine. She's a fine person. She does a lot for charity, but I don't know why she. Yes, pick her, and then we'll see why the hell she was involved in the election.
Yep, it's Taylor Swift. According to Verge, Taylor Swift's fans are getting caught up in the Virginia gubernatorial race. On Tuesday, Democratic candidate Terry
McAuliffe,
campaign launched a series of Facebook, Instagram, and Google search ads highlighting his opponent, Republican Glenn Youngkin's role in the controversial purchase of Taylor Swift's master recordings in 2019. The buyout of Swift's masters has been a point of bitter contention for the singer and her fans, and could be an unexpected liability in the upcoming race.
what a weirdo, though. Why did he do that? I mean, I guess it's a good investment, but like, weird. I'm from Virginia, originally. I lived there for 30 years, so not just originally. I grew up there. This is going to be a crazy election.
Yeah.
They're both they both have good points, but neither one of them are great. 100, good.
We got 100.
Virginia is a weird place, so that'll be one to watch. But that's fucking weird. Sorry for cussing. Taylor Swift.
So we've got 2 minutes left. Cassaundra, anything that you want to highlight or punch that you have coming up in the next couple of weeks that you want all of our viewers to know?
If you feel like giving to a great local charity that benefits the community and the surrounding communities as well, our Plymouth Improvement Committee is currently raising funds for Christmas in the Village, which again is free to anyone to come. And it also gives the ability for 100 local craft vendors to come and make money off of, their products that they sell. And it's actually inspired several local community members to open their own businesses. We have the Plymouth Cheesecake Lady. She has her own food truck and sells amazing cheesecakes out of it. We've got Draper's Apiary. So we've got a beekeeper that has started selling his product in town. We've got a seasoning company. This guy makes seasonings, and he's growing so much that he's going to need his own building to start manufacturing larger scale operations. And just watching these people start their own businesses, be empowered and inspired to make money the way that they want to and be happy with their passion and profit from it. It's just a really great opportunity, and it brings our community together. And I can't speak high enough about it. It's my passion. It's my love. And it's just amazing what we've been able to do in the last few years while participating in this.
And if you want to partake in Plymouth Improvement Committee, you can find them on Facebook. All you have to do is type in Plymouth Improvement Committee, and they come right up. Valerie, anything that you've got going on?
No, Region 8 training is this weekend in Atlantic City. I cannot make it because I just started a new job, but it is in Atlantic City. It looks nice. Everybody's arriving at their hotel today. But I want to thank Mayor Fryman again for being on, just really inspirational that you're walking the walk and talking the talk at the same time, and just showing libertarians how to do it. So thank you for being on with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. It has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for everything that you do, and I know you're going to continue to do amazing things in Plymouth, Ohio. Join us next week where we are going to have John Stafford Stanley from North Carolina on. Really excited to have a guest from my home state. But until then, everybody have a great week. Keep up on the news, and we will see you next week on another episode of Libertarians at Large. Have a great one, everyone.